Let's take a minute to hear a word from our sponsor for this week's Ag Report, Elite Tire.
Elite Tire and Automotive. Ever have one of those days you just need a little hand? Well, with our remote services, we'll just hop right on it. Get you back on the road quick and easy. With automotive services to cover all your mechanical needs. Need that state inspection done? Well, we can do that too. So roll on in and see a friendly face. Give us a call and we can be right on the spot to assist you. So trust the friendly folks down at Elite Tire and Automotive, 972-775-1055.
Now let's join our host, John Paul Dineen, in the studio with this week's Ag Report.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to this week's Ag Report. So this week, going to talk a little bit different. The idea kind of came to me from a friend. Y'all may be on social media, that kind of stuff, and you may see some of the things that I'm up to on the farm and the ranch. I try and share about those, just like I do with y'all here. And here recently, we have been, my son and I have been rebuilding a trailer that we've had since the early 90s, kind of repurposing it to be a freezer trailer. And so a friend reached out and he said, you know what? He goes, I see all this stuff that y'all are rebuilding and doing, brakes and bearings and welding and different things like that. He's like, why don't you talk to us about some of the skills that are used in agriculture? It's a whole lot more than just turning dirt or feeding a bale of hay, that kind of stuff. And it's one of those things too that you don't have to go that far. In other words, you can pick kind of the skill set that you're comfortable with and how far you want to go into learning other skills. So I'm going to talk for a minute about that. So more specifically, we were talking about this trailer that we're rebuilding. I've got my son, John Paul, helping me, and I'm trying to teach him some different skills, whether he, continues on the farm with us or he does his own thing somewhere differently. Hopefully these are some good life skills that whether he's working on his house or working on his car or his pickup or something like that, hopefully this will go along with him. So like on this trailer, some of the skills that we're, using, we're one kind of, looking at diagnosing or trying to prevent problems before they happen. So we're walking around this trailer and we're trying to look and assess what might be wore out, what might be going to give problems, that kind of stuff, fix it before it happens, which is kind of an important skill to kind of learn in agriculture, because a lot of times you're dealing with perishable crops, whether that's hay or a wheat crop or soybeans or a vegetable or anything like that. So you need to be able to critically analyze your equipment and go, you know what, I think that's going to go out on us. Let's change it now while the weather's bad so that when it's ready to go, there's not going to be a problem. So we're trying to look at that. We kind of made our list. We determined that we needed to change all the wheel bearings because, I've owned that trailer for just about 30 years now. It was used when I got it. The trailer is probably 40 years old. And, those bearings have turned a long time, and that grease, has used up its life expectancy. So we're going to pull all those bearings. We're going to replace them, new tight bearings. We're going to repack all of those bearings, which is, important to learn how to pack those bearings, get the grease all in those rollers and stuff. We're going to put on new grease seals because, again, they're rubber seals. They deteriorate, they rot. That keeps the dirt out of those new bearings. We've spent the money there for that and invested in that. We want to, make sure that stays clean. So we're going to put new grease seals. So for him, that's going to be taking off the castle nuts on the spindles, pulling those hubs down, learning how to take a punch and a hammer. And I know this sounds a little funny because you're actually hitting with a sledgehammer, but there's an art to it. You have to know what you're hitting so that you don't tear up other things. You got to drive the old seal out and replace that stuff. So then that brings us to the brakes. Brakes are important. We're going to be hauling several thousand pounds of beef in the trailer. We want to be able to stop good. That leads us, down to DOT inspections. DOT is going to look at the brakes, make sure that there's one on every wheel, make sure that they work. They're going to look for safety chains. This trailer did not come with safety chains 40 years ago, so we're going to have to weld safety chains on it. It also didn't come with a emergency breakaway system. So that's something we've got to add on there. Those are all DOT things. I mentioned that because we had this freezer custom built. So we actually have to travel to Florida to pick up this freezer and have it mounted on the trailer. So that means we're going to be crossing state lines. And so that's another reason why we're looking at all the lights and everything like that to make sure that we're as legal as we possibly can be for traveling across several states in there.
Let's take a break from the Ag Report and hear a word from our sponsor, Scream's Halloween Theme Park. Now let's head back to the studio with John Paul Dineen for this week's Ag Report.
So we determined that the brakes weren't good. There's some mechanics in that. These are electric brakes that work off of electric magnets. So there is a mechanism in there that activates those brakes and releases. Well, it's supposed to be, adjusted a certain way. It's supposed to be put on so that it retracts and everything. We determined that years ago, somebody didn't weld the saddles on the axles. And so the axles started spinning because of the brakes, grabbing on there. Well, that kind of got them out of time, and that hangs that magnet a little bit wrong, and it makes that front brake pad wear a little bit. So those are all, little details that I'm trying to, kind of teaching to pick up on. And so we're going back and we're adjusting everything, welding things back, putting it back to, like some of the guys say, OEM specs, original equipment manufacturer specs, trying to make it as good as we can. But anyway, that's just kind of an example in agriculture. Now, I may be taking it a lot further than some producers want to take it, and that's okay. But there's a lot of different hats to wear. You've got electronics, satellites. Some days you may be asked to talk tech with a person on the other end of the phone trying to get your satellite equipment working right. That may be, a little bit of a skill set and terminology that you're going to need to kind of learn to talk with those people. Again, you don't have to. There are people that will come out and do it for you on the farm, and all you have to do is pick up the phone and call for help. Just like animal husbandry, there's things that you can do as far as animal health and welfare with a veterinarian. Veterinarians will come out, or you can take your cattle to places, but there's also a level of involvement for yourself. So again, that's terminology and information that you're going to need to kind of learn so that you can have a good educated conversation with your veterinarian, and you kind of understand what he's saying, and he knows what your goals are for your health of your livestock. So anyways, just wanted to kind of give you, glimpse of different avenues in the agriculture umbrella, you might say. I like to think of it as a big umbrella, and just like an umbrella has a lot of different little spokes or little bands that hold it up, that's the way in agriculture. There's a lot of different avenues and little interests and things like that might interest you. You might focus on that, and you might be better at that than I am, and I may focus on a different area. But in the end, it helps hold that umbrella up and makes it all work at the end of the day. So I hope you've kind of enjoyed this little dive into a little more detail of specifics of what might be of interest and what might be of help on a farm or ranch, to kind of give you a little more insight to what goes on just besides turning the dirt or feeding a bale of hay, that kind of stuff. Y'all take care now.